This is the Military Bottom Line Podcast, episode 84.
That was the switch for me, like getting that first taste and realizing, wow, this can happen.
Yeah.
You know, once you got that, dude, you'll never quit.
Welcome to the Military Bottom Line Podcast, where we learn from veterans and those currently serving how to make the most out of a military contract. We're here to motivate, inspire, and help you leverage your service to positively impact you professionally, personally, and financially during your military career and beyond. Welcome back, everybody. This week I have on the show Douglas James. Douglas James is a Navy corpsman veteran who was really intending on being a lifer in the United States Navy. And during his time as active duty corpsman, he started pursuing some side gigs to make some extra money, to try to figure out, what are some alternatives to the military life. And he found himself really getting just sucked into Facebook marketing and marketing as a whole, and has since started his own brand, his own marketing agency, and is an advocate for helping others do the same. And so he has become really a professional marketer and blown up his presence, and really just trying to put out some wisdom and experience into the world. The amount he's been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time is impressive. And I think that he's worth listening to for really numerous reasons, but that alone is significant enough to hold my attention. And so I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. And without further ado, here's Douglas James. Douglas James, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. I've stumbled upon your profile and your presence online. Looks like you're building up and doing a pretty good job. And I understand you did some time in the Navy as a corpsman. So I'm excited to hear kind of like how this transition went from being a corpsman to serial entrepreneur and building your own brand.
Yeah, man. I can just jump right in. It's been quite a journey. I'll tell you that.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, man. Let's start from the beginning. Like, where are you from? Why you joined the Navy in the first place, and how that went for you?
Yeah, so I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I joined the Navy because my grandparents and my mom basically gave me an ultimatum, because after I joined, they were like, "You're gonna go to college, or you're going to the military, or you're gonna get the F out of my house." So
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, after I graduated high school, I was doing nothing but drinking till 4 a.m. and bartending and running in the streets and getting into trouble, that kind of stuff. So I was not a A+ student at all. I think I graduated with about a 1.9 GPA in high school. So sitting in a classroom for me just feels like hell. I was not a good student. My mind was in the clouds. I was always drawing and painting and, drawing little, I was in art and stuff. So I was more like the creative side of my brain I was more interested in that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I didn't want to, go back to school. So college was out the question for me. And I obviously didn't want to harm my relationship with my family. So I was like, let me just give this military thing a try. And, I had a great grandfather that served on the Arizona and Pearl Harbor. Right. So I was like, cool. Navy sounds cool. I'll just do that. Growing up, I was, like I said, I was super into the creative stuff. So I loved video games and I loved computers, and I could, take things apart and put them back together. And I watched Tech TV a lot, which is like G4 TV or whatever it is today with the video games. And, so I wanted to do something with computers. So I was like, okay, when they asked you for what job you want to do, my recruiter, I told him I'll do IT. Right. So I go to, this is kind of a, F your recruiter story, but
I think we all have a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have that, but I said IT. So the one story is when I was 17 years old, I took a job at Target. And I was in there. I was like the electronic system specialist. So I had the keys to like all the video games and the camera equipment and stuff in the cages in the back room. Right. So, I did some stupid stuff. I was 17 years old and I stole like a couple grand of electronics over a few months, DVDs and stuff. And I eventually got caught. It was the dumbest thing I could do. I got caught. I went to jail. I spent in jail overnight.
Okay.
And I went into this like first offenders program, right? And they're like, hey, you got to pay $120 a month, and every single week you got to show up to this meeting for like a year. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do that. And if you could do that, it'll be expunged from your record. No one will ever know that you were arrested for shoplifting.
Mm.
So I got into the ringer of doing that, and then that's kind of how my life was like. Do I go to the military? Do I go to college, or do I get the F out of my parents' house or whatever? So
what year was this? Just so we have a context.
So that was 2008. So
2008.
June 11th, 2008 is the day I went to boot camp.
Gotcha. Okay.
So to continue the recruiter story, I told my recruiter about what I did, and he's like, hey, you'll be fine. You want to be in IT, you'll be fine. When you get to boot camp, there's going to be this moment of truth. It's in like the first week or two, and they're going to ask you, have you ever stole, smoked weed, or did anything?
Yeah.
Just say no. Just say no, right? And 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, you go to boot camp, you've lived home your whole life. You've never ventured outside your nest.
Yeah.
Right. Go to boot camp, and you got these big buff, chiefs, senior chiefs, and they're yelling at you, hey, if you ever stole, if you ever smoked, if you ever did anything illegal, we will find out.
Yeah.
And if we find out, it's going to be hard for you. We're going to throw you in the brig. We're going to rip your rank, all this stuff. Right. So you might as well just tell us now. And if you tell us, you'll be good. I'm like, you know what? My recruiter said it's all good. It's expunged from my record. I did my time. I paid my $120 a month. It's fine. I'm just going to let him know. My recruiter, he's probably cool with it. So I let him know. They go into the room. So for IT, you needed a secret. I think you needed a top secret security clearance.
Yeah.
So I go into the interview, and then the first question's like, have you ever been arrested? I was like, yeah, I got arrested. I was stealing. Stole some stuff from Target, but I went through a first offenders program. It got expunged, and my recruiter made sure it was off my record, and we should be good. And he like immediately just closes the file, and he's like, I'm sorry, you don't qualify for this. You got to pick another job. I'm like, what?
Wow. I'm shocked that they didn't just like, because that's in boot camp. I mean, people get processed out for that kind of thing if they say too much at that point in time.
Yeah, no, it was not. It was like 10 days in, moment of truth, right?
Wow.
Maybe they changed the name of it, but moment of truth, and that was it. And they, I guess it was kind of like maybe off my record or whatever. But to have a top secret security clearance, you can't have like any of that kind of theft stuff or arrest stuff, I guess, on your record. So I didn't qualify for the top secret. So called my mom, called my grandma. I'm crying. I'm coming home. Like, this is bullshit. Like, I wanted to be in IT. I love computers. Blah blah blah. And then my mom was like, my granny was like, come home. And my mom was like, do whatever you want to do. I just want you to be happy. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm already here. I'm in Chicago. Let me just pick another job. So my mom was like, you have on my mom's side of the family, she's from Guatemala. So I'm like half Guatemalan, like half Irish. I got like this crazy combination and some like Chinese stuff going on. But yeah, in Guatemala, my mom's, siblings. So I have like 7 aunts and uncles in Guatemala, and all of them are like successful doctors or pharmacists and own labs and all this stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Medical field sounds good. My mom's a respiratory therapist. Okay, maybe that's in my genes. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. So I chose corpsman. And I mean, if you could, say your name and your social security number, you can basically be a corpsman. Like anybody can be a corpsman. So I'm glad I did though, because look, I'm here. I'm with you. I've done so many amazing things, and it's been a great career.
How long were you in the Navy for?
10 years.
10 years. Yeah. Okay.
10 years and like 6-7 months roughly.
Got it. Yeah. What was your breakdown of like green side versus blue side of corpsman life throughout your career?
Yeah. So I was mainly blue side, my basically my whole career, but I did go to field medical training. Yeah. And then I did that out in Camp Lejeune for 3 months or whatever it was. And that was fun. Cool. But yeah, I did Roger up, a couple times, one of them to go to Afghanistan. I was stationed in Italy, had an opportunity to go to Afghanistan. So I Rogered up. I was second class, they're like, hey, if you want to be a chief, you got to go on deployment. You got to go boots on the ground. I'm like, oh, cool. And I was like, almost my whole 10 years, well, about 7 years, I was very gung ho about being a lifer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any deployment, two of them popped up and I volunteered for both. One of them, someone beat me.
Hmm.
The second one, I got picked and I had my sea bag and everything ready to go 4 a.m. the next morning or 2 mornings after that. And there was like a funding issue with that deployment. So it got canceled. I'm like,
Mm.
so I didn't get to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did Blue Side. I went on a humanitarian mission on the USNS Mercy
Okay.
back in early 2015. We went to Papua New Guinea, Fiji,
Mm.
Philippines,
Right
built
on.
schools. I mean, dude, that was like probably the
Yeah.
best work I've ever done as a human being,
Yeah.
I think, at this point. But yeah, that was an incredible experience being out there and
Good, man.
seeing like what life is.
Yeah.
With people like have no shoes or like houses out there,
Mm.
living in tiki huts, and here I'm like in this penthouse and like
Yeah.
chefs and like it's just a whole different deal, you know. So
So you were stationed out Sigonella? Is that the Navy base out there?
I was in
Sigonella?
Naples in
Naples. Okay.
South. Yeah.
Okay. Right on. Yeah, I never went down to Naples, but I was an Air Force base, Aviano, for a bit. And so
Oh,
that
cool.
was yeah, I was on terminal leave actually, and I was space A-ing around and spent a Thanksgiving there. So yeah,
Oh, cool.
that was my my extent of Italy bases, but never got down to Naples. So
About what year were you over there?
2000 end of 2014, Thanksgiving
Okay.
2014. There, I was there.
Okay.
But
Got it.
so how did when you said you were talking about like you were a lifer? I mean, you did 10 years. Usually, if people do 10 years, they're going all the way. So how did your career progress, and why did you ultimately decide to get out?
Yeah. Yeah, I did not follow the traditional path by any means, right?
Yeah,
I got so much flack from my superiors, my chief, when I was like, hey, I'm getting out, I
yeah,
got this business thing going, it's good, But yeah, I mean, around my seventh year, I got to San Diego, which is where I'm still at right now. So I
hmm,
was stationed at Balboa Hospital. I got here in 2014, in the summer of 2014. Still gung ho, still wanting to be a lifer. And then I got picked up for USNS Mercy. Went on that for 8 or 9 months, however long it was, and that was awesome. But I think when I got back from that deployment, I saw what life was like out there.
mm,
I saw the good that we did in the world, and I even got capped to first class on that deployment, which was amazing. I ran some programs and really stood out. And in my career, I was just kind of like always like that guy. I wanted to go and do and lead and
yeah.
rally and get in front of people.
It's first class E6, E7. What is that?
That's E6.
E6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm 86. I'm 80 at that point when I'm 86, I was about 5.5 years in. So that's actually
That's
like
quick. Yeah.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I made first class, and when I got back from that deployment, I just felt like, man, I've done all I can do here in the military. I've only been in 5.5 years. And then my chief was like, dude, you're going to be a chief like by 7 years. Like you're
Mm,
good. Like
mm,
just keep at it.
mm,
I always got picked up for like sale of the quarter. I made sale of the year. I was in Bethesda.
yeah.
know, but I just got back and I was like, man, I really feel like I've done all I can do. And I would love to be able to give to countries and kids in need. When I was growing up, I didn't come for money at all.
Yeah.
Even though my mom was a respiratory therapist, my dad was a gambling, alcoholic,
Gotcha.
um, that ran around with other women and did all kind of crazy stuff and basically ran us into debts and bankruptcy.
Mm,
And we were on the street for a short period of time until my grandma and uncle stepped in to help us out. But yeah, we didn't have money because of poor decisions. So I didn't come from money at all.
yeah.
But and I didn't have all the nice stuff as a kid. We were always worried about like what we're going to eat. Like that was like the number one thing all the time, unfortunately.
Mm,
But seeing kids and being a part of that deployment, I really wanted to figure out like how can I give back to people in need and do for other people, not only with my time, because we can always volunteer our time. We can go to homeless shelters, we can serve food,
yeah.
we can do all kinds of stuff. But the real secret is when you can volunteer and give with financially.
Hmm.
Like, how can I make more money and give more money and make a bigger impact, right?
Mm.
A lot of people say money doesn't buy happiness. Well, have you given away enough of it? Like, if you can give away a foundation or some
Mm.
kids, crates of shoes in
Yeah.
another country, and you paid for that, and you see the smile on their face because they're walking around and not getting nails in their foot,
Yeah.
that's a pretty exciting feeling,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
gives me a ton of happiness.
Sure.
So, yeah, so that's why I was like, I just need to maybe get into business or something, like, and I had people, some of the barber, I remember getting my hair cut by one of the barbers, all the East, all the guys that go to Navy has actually a barber rating. I don't know if they still do that anymore,
Really?
but they go to school to cut hair in the Navy.
No kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know if they still do it, but I remember getting my hair cut, and the one of the barbers like, yeah, I'm opening up my own shop on the side, and
Mm.
I got all these clients on the outside, and I'm making way more money in the military. I'm like, then I was in the military, and I'm like, dang, this guy's like making money outside the military. How is he doing that? So
Yeah.
I just one night I was just looking up stuff online, and I looked at I think I came across something that said marketing and then lead generation, and then I started to connect some dots and realizing, like businesses are willing to pay for customers. Like, if you
Mm.
can bring like a dental office or a roof repairman more jobs or more patients for the
Yeah.
dental office, they'll
Yeah.
pay you for those leads or for those customers.
Mm.
I'm like, that's pretty cool. So I started getting into that. And I really started to study like what marketing was and what sales was. And I realized my whole time in the Navy, I was marketing myself to other people,
Yeah.
right? You go up for sale of the quarter or airman of the quarter or, soldier of the quarter if they have that, right? Or,
Sure.
they have all those programs, right? You're marketing yourself to that board, and you're trying to convince them why you're more badass than everyone else on outside standing at attention.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I think I'm a good marketer because I keep winning sale of the quarters and sale of the years. I'm getting rank. I'm getting picked up, from rank. I'm like, I'm great at marketing myself to other people because I have a
Mm.
lot of value to give, right?
Mm.
And I'm really genuine about it, right? So that's when I got into marketing and started to market to brick and mortar businesses. Hey, I have the ability to help you generate customers, so I would run Facebook. I learned what Facebook ads were, Google ads, what a landing page was. And I just started putting this stuff together, man, and learn what SEO was, how to rank websites. And, in a short period of time, I was making my paycheck. And I was in about 3 months, I was making about 20 grand a month,
From
and
Facebook ads.
just running Facebook ads for brick and mortar businesses.
Local brick and mortar where you go like knock on their door and be like, hey, like, I can market for you via Facebook and these are my rates kind of thing? Or how did you find the brick and mortar businesses that would hire you?
Yeah, I would literally I would do prospecting, right? So I would call them, I would walk into their businesses, I would send emails, I would look up online. There's all kinds of softwares that you can use to find the contact information for all kinds of businesses in your local area.
Mm-hmm.
And I would literally call them, text message them, email them, and say, hey, can I send you guys some leads? Can I send you guys some referrals? They would set up a call with me. I would get their website, and then there's like these tools that you can use online where it shows you how many visitors their websites are getting. And I would give them like a full analysis. And then I would go on Facebook and see if they're running Facebook ads. And I saw that they weren't running Facebook ads. I'm like, look at all the money you're leaving on the table. Your website's ranked on page 3. No one ever goes to page 3.
Yeah.
They click on the top 3 options on page 1. You're not running Facebook ads at all. Like, you're leaving probably 400% of the revenue that you're generating in your business on the table right now. Okay. Like, so I would send them that really compelling video, and they're like, dude, we need to talk. Like, you're like blowing our minds right now. Like, how do you know this stuff? So I look like a genius.
Yeah.
So I was able to do that. I got into SEO first. There was
how
a
long
major.
did you? I mean, how long were you studying this stuff? I mean, between the time that you found marketing online to the time that you're actually like working with some clients, what's that time window?
It was probably about a month. Probably about a month. I was looking up, watching videos, studying stuff up online. Constant. And then, and then I started to reach out to businesses.
The other part that I'm curious about is that, now more than ever, people are looking up online how to make money, like online. Everybody's looking for a side hustle. Everybody's looking for something. And you can get into a freaking rabbit hole of the gazillion ways to make money online. And most people, they just keep, scanning and looking for like something, but there is, it's very rare that they find that, like, that one thing that they're stoked about
Right.
and that they're going to go all in on. So how and why did you pick marketing in that search of, endless ideas?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's just kind of like the first. No, let me back up this story. So I actually didn't. I found marketing. Marketing was the first thing I found, and the connection that I made with marketing was the fact that because the way my brain works, I need to be able to relate it to a past experience, right?
Mm,
So when I found marketing and realized you market to businesses to try to convince them to give you money to help them get customers,
yeah.
I told you the story about how I had to market myself to a board to convince them why I'm a way better sailor, and
Yeah.
because I volunteer and I go to college and all these things or whatever on why I need to be sailor of the year, right?
Mm,
So I made that connection with marketing. I was like, I must be pretty good at marketing and sales
okay.
and persuading people ethically, right? The first thing I found was actually multi-level marketing,
Mm,
MLMs, which is like basically a pyramid scheme. So
yeah.
the lead generation stuff I'm talking about is not that at all. Like it's
Yeah.
an
Okay.
actual skill set. You're giving actual value
Yeah.
to businesses. And I found Advocare. So basically, my buddy was holding these little workshops, and you go to the workshop and a little mixer, and he's got all these supplements, right? And you're doing the supplements, and you go in there and he's giving a presentation. Hey, if you sign up, you buy these products, you become a rep underneath me, and then you hold the mixers, and then you go get people to show up to be a rep underneath you, and you get a percentage of everything they
Hmm.
sell, right? So it's a
Yeah.
pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the first thing I found. And my first money that I've ever made was actually through that.
Really?
I kind of sometimes skip over that story because it was such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Right. But actually I got into it and I started selling products, and I was like, at that time I was super ripped.
Yeah.
I'm not too bad right now, but I was like super jacked,
Yeah.
and I would post on Instagram,
Got it.
shirtless photos working out.
Got it.
Right. And actually, I got like one time I posted a photo, and I think this like, gay fitness men's page like reshared my photo, and I got like 12,000 followers like overnight. It was awesome.
All dudes, but yeah.
It was all dudes. Hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, I got a ton of followers, and then I got into the Advocare and I started posting, and I remember getting my first check of $600, and I was like,
Really?
oh my gosh, I'm
Okay.
freaking rich.
Yeah.
This is
Cool.
amazing. So
Cool.
I got into Advocare, but I realized like that super fizzled out. Like it was grinding you was like pulling teeth to try to
Mm,
get people to sign up underneath you and sell the product. Like fitness
yeah.
is like the hardest thing to sell because people do
Totally.
not want to work out.
Mm,
People do not want to eat healthy. Don't be told what to do. Yes, there's a portion of people that do and
sure.
willing to pay for it, but most people are just like, dude, get out of my face with that stuff. Give
Yeah.
that MLM stuff. I
Yeah.
learned that MLM stuff is like, it's not necessarily like a scam. There's a lot of value to be given
Hmm.
with those products and fitness and stuff. It's just not my type of business model,
Well, I
you
think
know?
also like
So,
everybody in the military has been hit up for MLM at least once.
oh yeah,
you know,
100%.
so like however that first person communicates, like maybe if you're the first one to bring it up, you might be able to convince somebody. But
Yeah.
anything after that first time, if they said no, like dude, they just pick up on it. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It's got a bad, I think it's probably just got a really bad rap because so many people have been hit. How many times have you been DM'd for something,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
join my thing and you can sign people up and get a discount and you'll get a check or whatever. Like
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
all over the place.
So what year into your Navy career are you starting this business thing?
It was it was right when I got back from deployment in 2015. So roughly 7.5 years ago now, going on 8 years.
Okay, and so that's year what in the Navy for you?
2015. So yeah, I left in
7 years.
2008. Yeah, so 7 years.
Okay, so 7 years in the Navy, and so at that point, then you had like pretty much just re-signed.
I re-signed in Italy for 4 years.
Okay.
About a year before I left Italy is when I rogered up for 4 years.
Got it.
I skipped over this part of the story, but I actually after field medical training, I went to San Antonio and I became a lab tech. So I was in San Antonio
Mm,
for like 18 months,
okay.
became a lab tech, and then so when they did the reenlistment bonus, you do 4 years. I think I got a check for like
Yeah.
20 something $1,000. I was like, I'm freaking rich. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a lot of money. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
But no.
So now you're still active duty, you're working in the Navy, you're starting to work on your own business, and it's, things are starting to churn out, you're starting to, make some stuff happen. And explain to us this mindset shift of where you know, when you decided like, okay, I think this is my route now. Because for a lot of people, once they've convinced themselves that they're doing 20 years,
Mhm.
it's hard to like unconvince them of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So explain that mindset shift and how you actually got to the point where you thought, I'm done. I can't wait for my EAS. Was it strictly a financial decision? I mean, you talked about wanting to help others and stuff, but like,
Yeah.
I guess more
Yeah.
specifically, how you got there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, so to answer that, I was really motivated uh, by doing charity stuff
Yeah.
and working with kids. Like a couple of foundations I'm really heavily involved in today. One of them is called Pencils for Promise. So every $25,000 we raise, we build a school in Mexico for kids.
Hmm.
Amazing foundation. Another one's called RIP Medical. So every $1 we raise for them, they eradicate $10 in military veteran debt. Right.
No
Because
kidding.
as you know, I mean, a lot of veterans, they come out the military, PTSD, all jacked up, joints, all this stuff. Right. And they don't always get rated what they're supposed to get rated. Right.
Mm.
They might get 20%, 30%. But that's still not enough to cover like their bills, and
Wow.
then they don't have a job when they got out of the military. So it's like, how are they supposed to pay for their medical care? Right. So RIP Medical helps veterans that don't get rated appropriately and helps get them the finances to help cover their medical stuff after the military.
No kidding.
So
RIP
yeah,
medical.
so
Okay.
yeah, look into them. They're amazing.
Awesome.
I think they rose like probably 7 billion at this point, or $6 or $7 billion at this point.
Wow.
But that's the kind of work that I wanted to do. And notice I'm talking about like giving not with my time, but with my money. Like
Yeah.
we're donating cash, right?
Yeah.
I can have more impact when I can do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to get in business, right? And then I found marketing. I realized that, hey, I have an act for marketing and sales, right? So all this kind of just transpired.
Mm.
And the mindset shift, I got to tell you, my first client that I had, not the Advocare thing, because that was kind of a joke, but in the lead generation, that really happened. I mean, it was like just the whole business model is a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the lead generation, I had a limousine company, a party bus company,
Mm.
And the way I landed them, I believe I emailed them, I called them, I got their information, right, and the way I was doing it when I first started is I was doing leads in advance, where I call them, I vet them, I get their contact information, I know what their cell phone number is, the owner, the email, all that stuff, and then I set up some campaigns online, website, and all that, and I generate traffic, and I start sending them leads anonymously. So they're getting like an influx of like new customers, and they're like, "Holy crap, this is going to be a great month! Like, where are all these leads coming from? This is not normal."
Mm.
Right? And that's what's going on in their mind. So I let that run for about 3 or 4 days, and then I call them up and say, "Hey, this is Douglas James. How have those leads turned out that I've been sending you guys?" And they're like, "Oh, you're the one that's been sending." And we're like, "Where is this coming from? We never get this much traffic."
So giving value for free. It sounds like the Gary V shtick.
Yeah, dude, it's lead with value, man. You got to give to get, right? And what's in it for them.
Yeah. No
That's the way it is. If you can help other people get what they want, you can have all you want in life. That's how I live. That's really how I've lived my whole journey, even in the Navy, leading sailers, helping them get to where they're trying to go. And I got recognized. I get awards. Like you ever seen someone receive an award and they're always like, I know I got this award, but I really got to thank my team.
Yeah.
That sounds like cliche and stuff, but it's true. Because without the people underneath you doing amazing shit, like you're not going to get up that and get that commendation medal or get that Sailor of the Year award. There's a team behind every great person. We're all built on the shoulders of giants.
No doubt.
So yeah, that's how I landed that first client. And we worked out a deal of 20% profit for the first 30 days. So they knew it was me. I was generating traffic. So by the end of the 30 days, I got 20% of whatever they made. and that was about $4,200. And
Mm.
when I got that check, I took a picture of it. I took my girlfriend out to dinner. We celebrated, dude. It was like the most
Nice.
euphoric thing
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And my mentor talks about, when you get into a new relationship or you do a new thing, right? Like you just get married, there's that honeymoon phase, and you're like,
Mm.
you don't know if this is really going to work out, but it's all amazing right now, and it's all
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
fun. But then you realize there's a daily grind
Totally.
where you have to show up every day and put in the work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people quit early because they're like, I'm not getting results. I'm not
Mhm.
getting closer to what I want. There's this daily grind. But if you do that long enough, you'll hit the goal and realize and create belief for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So when I went through that grind and I landed that client, and when I got that check, I created a belief, and I knew it was possible in that moment.
Mm.
And then I had the biggest craving. I was so hungry after that because I wanted that dopamine hit. It was like a
Yeah.
massive dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And I wanted that again. So I just kept remembering getting that check, and I'm like, I want another one. I want another one. So I want another client. Right. And I just kept prospecting, and I started to scale. And that's really what did it for me, and then I eventually like bought like this Mercedes, like a S63 ridiculous V8 vehicle that a E6 Sailor probably should not be able to afford.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Parking next to the CEO, driving a Prius, like
Too
it
funny.
was just, I started to get a lot of attention. People started asking me questions, and that's how I got into coaching and education eventually, right?
Gotcha.
So, but
No kidding.
yeah, that was the switch for me, like getting that first taste and realizing, wow, this can happen.
Yeah.
Once you got that, dude, you'll never quit.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a big advocate for, as I grew up kind of more on the traditional like education track, like education was heavily pushed in my family. And
Mhm.
so I started, when I was active duty, I was, taking college classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I really think that there's ultimately, two routes kind of thing, but everybody while they're in active duty should be either, taking advantage of the college opportunity using TA, or like you have this time, this opportunity to really get creative and just like mess around with different business ventures. I
Mhm.
mean, had you not optimized your time and taken advantage of that, the time available to you, the resources available to you to try, something, try to make a couple of bucks online, try something, you'd still be in the Navy, you'd still be
Yeah.
a regular W-2 job. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just a tremendous missed opportunity. And if you're not focusing on one or the other, and you're just kind of like letting life go by, then you never know like what could have been. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I applaud you for seizing that opportunity and just going all in, spending the time to learn it, and clearly making it happen. So that's huge.
Thanks, man. The one thing I do want to say about what you said there is like, the Navy eventually kicks you out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you'll get honorably discharged. You might get a, check for the rest of your life and medical care, and that's all great.
Yeah.
But can you live off $3-4 grand a month?
Mm-hmm.
No, not in today's age.
No.
Right.
Yeah. You're moving down to Mexico or something to
Yeah.
survive off that.
That's if everything goes according to plan and you get max benefits. You get to go to the hospital for free. You get that $4,000 check a month for the rest of your life. Okay, great. Now what?
Yeah.
Is that really going to give you true financial freedom for the long term for you and your family and other generations? No, it's not. So I think the earlier the better to start to consider like, hey, my time's going to eventually, this hourglass is turned upside down. There's only so much salt in it. Right. And it's going to come at the 20-year mark or at the 24-year mark or the 26-year mark. It's going to come. Yeah. So I remember when I first started and I was having success and people were asking me what's going on. I had a master chief come up to me and was like, HM1, I am discharged next month. I'm retiring. I'm 46 years old. I do not want to go sit in a classroom with 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
How do you do what you do? Please tell me.
Yeah.
I'm happy to pay you for your advice.
Wow.
Just like that. And when that happened, I was like, he's willing to pay me what I know. Yeah. That's how I got into coaching.
Got it.
So
got it.
But the earlier the better.
Now you're coaching people on how to do Facebook ads and how to start your own marketing business, or what specifically do you coach then?
Yeah, I work with a ton of veterans, actually. That's our primary focus. And we help them transition from either they're a veteran or active duty. We help them transition into the civilian world as an entrepreneur by helping them start their own lead generation agency.
Okay.
So yeah, we have multiple ways to do it. Either they can do it themselves, done with us, and we do have like done for you stuff where they work directly with our team.
Got it.
But all kinds of offers.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm.
So, I mean, really, anybody, I assume, just like you know, anybody that's still in the military trying to figure out, like, should I stay in? Should I get out? You know, now's the time to kind of look into these opportunities. And even beyond, if once they're
Yeah.
already out, they're transitioned, they're like, well, I thought I wanted to go to college, but college sucks. So, you know, what else should I do?
Yeah.
You know, there's a wide window of opportunity for learning lead generation. And I, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't imagine it's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, not at all, man. Not at,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quadrupling down. I
Yeah.
mean, especially look at the economy of what's going on. You know, a lot of veterans in active duty don't know what's going on, how money works, like true financial literacy, how the
Yeah.
banks work, how they take your money and loan it
Mhm.
out to 10 people at 26% interest. Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, like nobody really knows that, So um, I think the earlier the better. Learn how business works, learn how money works, learn how your skill sets and leadership and all the discipline you get, all that's transferable into entrepreneurship and business and online. And if you want to have a job and work for that's there's nothing wrong with that. Like we need doctors, we need pilots, we need all that stuff. But
Yeah.
you know, um, for you to make 7 figures a year, you have to be basically a spinal surgeon. I got a spinal surgeon at an event in my house here
Mhm.
about a month ago. He makes 1.2 a year as a spinal surgeon.
Hmm.
And now he had a stroke and he can't like perform the surgery. So he found me online, was like trying to learn what I'm doing now. He came to
No
hang out in my
kidding.
house and learn how to do it. So
No kidding.
uh,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
man. So
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen.
no,
Never know. Awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm stoked to hear, you know, that you've had a successful transition, that you're out now, you're doing your thing, and completely independent. Like that's super cool. And hopefully, you know, you've got the opportunity to teach others, and that they can all kind of, you know, duplicate what you're doing,
hmm,
and find some success for themselves.
yeah.
But before we wrap it up, I just want to close out with some closing questions. Um, so, one, you know, you did 10 years. Would
Hmm.
you recommend the military to somebody else? Maybe they're in high school or college and they're thinking about joining the military. Would you recommend it?
I think that there are certainly things that the military can teach you that you just can't get anywhere else.
Mm,
You just cannot get anywhere else. So
yeah.
I do think everyone should probably serve a couple years just to
Yeah.
get a taste of what that's like. Go through boot camp, get your head on straight because we're all pretty much with our butt up our head up
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
asses, as when we're kids.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think the Navy and the military in general does help you, um, you know, learn what self discipline is and accountability and stuff like that.
Mm,
Which can't be taught enough. Show up and take extreme ownership in all that you do.
yeah.
The military taught me, so I do recommend the military for sure. I'm an advocate for service members for sure.
Right on. Okay. What do you think separates those that are successful after the military and those that are not?
Limiting beliefs and
Mm,
stories. Like, hey, I'm gonna do 20 years and then, and I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna have, my check and I'm gonna do a really
yeah.
good job, right? But all that's not guaranteed. People
Yeah.
are, some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies are laying off tens of thousands of people every day.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
guarantee. You might be in a career right now. There's no guarantee of your job,
Yeah.
you know?
100%.
So get out of your own way and stop telling yourself you can't do it when you can do it because your mind is hardwired for survival. It could care less about dreams and aspirations.
Hmm.
You have to apply wisdom in all that you do and just
Yeah.
do the work.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for, you know, gaining that independence, and people stay in the military because it's like safe or whatever.
Hmm.
Um and or people stay in their job because it's safe, but really, like, if you're not in control, it's not safe. You know, you could get
Yeah.
fired, you could get, you know, killed, you could get whatever. And
Yeah.
so, you know, having your own independent sources of revenue is definitely
Yeah.
where it's safe.
Hmm.
Lastly, what is the most influential book that you've read?
Probably Atomic Habits by James Clear. Just get
Mm,
1% better every day. Don't worry
yep.
about getting 100% better every day. That's it.
That's a solid one. Awesome,
Hmm.
man. Awesome. I like those answers. Good, man. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy man, but where can people find you
if they want to hit you up and kind of figure out what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. So I will say this: I am holding a military veteran event in March of 2023. We'll probably have around 300 seats there of military veterans. It's going to be in San Diego. If you guys want to learn about it, it's militarywealthsummit.com, militarywealthsummit.com. Go check it out. Would love to see you in San Diego. We're going to be talking about business, financial literacy, and leadership. You can find me on Instagram at _Douglas James or visit thedouglasjames.com.
Awesome, man. I'll make sure all those are linked in the description, and we'll be, if anybody wants to connect, they'll find it there.
Awesome, brother. Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming out.
Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode with Douglas James. Like I said, he's got a lot going on, and he's there to help you guys if you're interested in starting a marketing agency or getting into marketing in general. He's worth a follow. He's worth reaching out to and seeing what you can accomplish through, the things that he's already learned through his efforts and his wisdom to this point. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Give him a follow. Check him out. Links are in the description. I'll see you guys later. Peace.